Welcome to At Home with Melissa, where we have intimate conversations with entrepreneurs. And today I have the honor of interviewing my friend, business associate Kim Joseph, who is the co owner of Kugler and Joseph, which is a property management and real estate company.
To keep your bills going and keeping that mental happiness.
All in spot. And look, I'm going to be doing all my little twists and turns. Just wait.
I'm going to be doing giddy.
So tell us about your real estate journey, how you got started and how you became the co-owner of Kugler and Joseph.
Okay, so a while back, 2008, I actually had my own transportation company.
Okay.
And with the crash, I lost a lot, went bankrupt, and I had to actually get a job.
Okay.
And I got a job at this company called Superior Property Management and Sales.
Okay.
I've always carried my real estate license because I did it for myself, but not for others.
Okay.
At that time, he was hiring for a secretary position.
Okay.
And like I told you, unfortunately, I went bankrupt with the crash. And I did the secretarial job. And then in the evenings, he was looking for someone to clean the office. And so that's what I did. I did that. Wow. And then I did the secretary job during the day. At the same time, having goals to try to bring in property management. Okay. So those were the three things that I did to keep myself just afloat.
Yeah, that was a tough time. We've had conversations about it.
Yeah.
And, we definitely need to get into that at another time where
Right.
you started from the bottom and worked your way up
Yes.
to the top.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us about like how you became the co-owner.
So this is crazy. Yeah. I called you. I called you and I said, Melissa, I have some major money saved up and I want to get some property, but I want a lender that is not involved with, do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I said, I want a lender that's not too involved with everybody because I want to keep my personal.
Yeah.
And you said, I have this great guy. His name is Scott.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let me call him. So I dial his number. He's already locked in my phone. Like, how I know Scott? How I know this guy?
Yeah.
So I call him and he answers the phone. Hey, Kim. And I was like, oh, hey. He's like, how's it going? I was like, it's going well. He said, what's up? What you calling me for? I said, well, I'm looking to do like a 10-plex or something to kind of start my own property management. He was like, so you don't own Superior? I said, no. I said, I work for Superior. I'm a realtor with Superior. He says, oh, that's funny. He said, I was doing his properties. And he said, the only person he ever interact with was me. And he thought I owned it. I said, no, I don't own it. In fact, I'm thinking about doing something myself in the next couple of years. He says, well, would you like to meet? He says, because I'm interested in doing something with you. He said, you really impressed me and I really like your style. He says, hey, I got some time on my hand. I don't mind if we can get together. Maybe we can open something small. And that's how it started. We went to coffee and I told him what my ideas was. And he was like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Wow.
And 3 months later, we opened Kugler and Joseph. And unfortunately, before I could tell the owner of Superior that I opened the company, he found out. So he called me in his office and I just knew he was going to say, get your stuff and get out of here. And he says, well, Kim, I know you opened your own company. And he says, I know it's for Scott, one of our old clients. And I said, yes. And I'm just nervous and my heart is just beating. And I'm like, oh my God, this man is going to put me out. And I, at the time, I still didn't have it all established. He says, I'm tired, Kim. And he says, I really don't want to do this anymore. He says, and I couldn't think of a better person to take over. He says, would you be interested in buying this company?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was just thrown back. I said, well, I do have a partner now, as you said. I said, so let me talk to Scott. And I talked to Scott. Scott was like, okay, let's talk. A week later, we met. He gave us a price that I could not refuse.
Wow.
And it's history.
Wow.
3 months later, February 1st, I was closed on Kugler and Joseph, no longer Superior Property Management.
How amazing is that? I was just listening to a podcast yesterday, and he said, coincidences are just God's way of staying anonymous.
Correct.
So it was almost like everything was aligned perfectly.
It was just so aligned. I mean, it just took one
wow.
phone call from me
Mm-hmm.
to you,
Mm-hmm.
and then I spoke with him. Of all the people,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
did you give me Scott?
Right.
Who I have dealt with.
Right.
I mean, I dealt with him
Mm-hmm.
like 7 or 8 years prior.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't remember him, but he was
Right.
still locked in
Wow.
my phone.
Wow. That's
And
just
he
crazy.
believed in me enough to say, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
like the way you work. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And it just even with the previous owner,
Yeah.
like coming to you, you didn't even have to go to him, and it's like everything was just aligned for
And
you.
not only did he offer me the company, he kept his properties with me. I still manage his properties.
So everything just fell into place.
Everything fell into place.
Right.
It
And,
wasn't easy. Let me put it that way.
no.
The
Mm-mm.
first year was really hard trying to
Mhm.
find and balance and,
Mhm.
you know, not really being an entrepreneur, taking the money and doing
Mhm.
this. Now I have to pay money out. I'm not
Uh-huh.
receiving money.
Right.
It's very hard. I'm
Yeah.
not going to make it like a little easy thing to do.
Mhm.
It wasn't a walk in the park.
Right. Right.
And it's still hard.
Mhm.
But the way it happened was amazing.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
to continually be an entrepreneur, like we talked about,
Mhm.
and being a
It's
single
not easy.
mom, it is one of the
It's
hardest
not
things.
easy.
And sometimes my anxiety is so high that I have to just pull on the side
Mhm.
and just say a prayer and say,
Yeah.
you know what, Kim, you're going to be just fine. I
Right.
literally have to talk to myself
Mhm. Oh yeah.
because it is not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. And I'm also talk about the power of prayer, meditation, because when you were going through that, I was with you,
Right.
and I was praying for you. You were praying. We
Mhm.
were asked. I mean, really, we talked all the time, and it's like God just aligned everything.
He is aligning everything,
Mhm.
and you gotta work in your purpose. You have
Mhm.
to have faith. You have to
Mhm.
put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
scared, and you can't look at things and go, what if this
Mhm.
doesn't? What if it does happen?
Mhm.
You have to say, okay, if this does
Yeah.
happen, I'm gonna do this. I'm
Mhm.
going to do that.
Mhm.
You can't put it to the point where you're so fearful that
Uh-huh.
you can't move. You can't be the deer in headlights.
Mhm.
You have to keep working.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible said faith without works is dead.
Dead.
You
Mhm.
have to work in that faith.
Mhm.
And if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
understand it's not going to be easy. It was
Mhm.
easier, Kim, the realtor was superior. It was
Mhm.
way easy. Money
Mhm.
was better. I'm going to tell you everything about being a single entrepreneur, just being for my person,
Yeah.
was way easier than having to manage people 700 homes. I went from managing
Yeah.
myself to having 700
Right. The
homes
responsibility is so
under my,
big.
it's so big.
Right.
And so many
Right.
people depend on you to
Mhm.
wake up
Mhm.
and say, today you're so fearful that you don't even want to move because you're scared,
Mhm.
but yet they depend on you to write out a check.
Mhm. Yeah. And your employees, and it's just dealing with personalities. It just becomes a different animal.
Yes,
Yeah.
hiring the right people,
Mhm.
having the right budgets, and
Mhm.
that's the great thing about having a partner too.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
say, oh, it's all my own. I'm
Mhm.
not going to take that away.
Mhm.
Scott is so amazing when it
Mhm.
comes down to the books and
Yeah.
insurance and stuff. That pulls a lot off of me. But
Mhm.
I am the person that deal with the personalities and
Yeah.
the owners
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
everyday things, and it's sometimes it can be overwhelming, or
Yeah.
sometimes it can be very fun. Y'all see me on
Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah.
doing
Right.
shots and everything. I try
Right.
to make it as light
Right.
as possible, but
Mhm.
this is not a journey for the faint of
No,
heart.
it is not.
It's
It is
not.
not.
It's
And
not.
and since you said that, I want to talk a little bit. Um, I want to talk about your fitness. So I'll
Okay.
talk about that first. Like,
Okay.
tell me about your journey in fitness, because we all admire what you're doing, your
Mhm.
discipline, the way you look, the way you keep at it, despite some of us fall off, but you've been keeping at it for years. So tell us about your fitness journey.
So the journey itself is for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the one thing I have in life that's
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
The sport that I do is bodybuilding is for me.
Mm-hmm.
There is no team, even though I am on a team.
Mm-hmm.
I love my team, by the
Yeah.
way, but it's ultimately for me. And it helps me get through days that I feel
Yeah.
down.
Right.
And ladies, you have to understand, when you are feeling anxious, when you're feeling that you're being pulled, and you look in the mirror and simple as a dress looking well on you,
Mm.
or
Mhm.
having that flat stomach,
Yeah.
or feeling good about your
Right.
skin, and
Mhm.
you know you're of age. I just made 50.
She look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gives me light. And then
Mhm.
also, I do have a family that has, I've lost some brothers and sisters,
Mhm.
from heart disease
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
diabetes. It's just all of it added up to once made me want to be a better person.
Yeah.
And then that discipline overloads into business. It
Mhm.
overloads as a parent. It
Mhm.
makes me a better person overall. First of
Yeah.
all, Kim is happy with Kim. No matter
Mhm.
who's in the room,
Right.
I'm happy with Kim.
Right.
And second of all, I feel really good. So
Mhm.
even when I have bad days, I don't feel sick. I don't feel weighted. I
Mhm.
feel really good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hydrated. Those things make a difference when you are
Yeah.
making decisions, because
Mhm.
when you don't feel good, you don't make good decisions.
Mhm.
You're like,
Yeah.
just whatever,
Right.
let me go lay down, or let me just rest. But
Mhm.
when you feel really good, you make really good decisions.
Right.
And when you're
Mhm.
so disciplined, that follows in everything you do,
Mhm. Every area.
every area you do.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I'm disciplined enough to eat every 3 hours and weigh my
Mhm.
food and drink, and I'm not saying everybody should be that
To that degree,
to
but the
that degree,
discipline.
but the
Yeah.
discipline and the
Mhm.
consistently also helped me to get up every
Yeah.
morning, be at Kugler and Joseph, make
Mhm.
sure I call the clients, make sure I do the emails.
Mhm.
It keeps your mind to be where you know that you get all over the place.
Mhm.
This makes you concentrate more
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're so intentional.
Mm.
And I think that's what exercises do for
Yeah.
me.
I
It
think so.
is the outside
Mhm.
that makes you feel good, that you can
Yeah.
put on your suit
Right.
and you
And
feel
you look
good
good.
and you
Yeah.
look good, but it's also the intentional way
Right.
that you handle things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree because I think like when you work out, especially you do heavy lifting, if you're able to push past, because you're
The
pushing past
thought.
your mind, where your mind is telling you put this down.
Hmm.
If you're able to push past that, that helps you in other areas. That you're
Yes,
able to push past issues or difficult days.
right.
You are mentally stronger as
It
well.
does make
Yeah.
you mentally strong
Mhm.
when you're in the gym and you're thinking about, okay, I might lose this account, or
Mhm.
this employee's not coming in, and
Yeah.
this person is acting up. You're pushing through everything,
Mhm.
and you're saying, you know what, it's going to work out.
Yeah, yeah, and just the body, so the muscle building, like when you are working out your muscles, you're actually tearing them down
Right,
for them to build up again. So we go through that pain. It's just like life, right? You go through
right.
that pain of breaking that down, but then once you get past that, you have the results of the stronger muscle and the look and the physique and the feel
Just
that you
like
get.
the
Hmm.
entrepreneurship. I
Hmm.
mean, you're taking your income
Yeah.
and it goes all the way down.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, you don't become rich, you become poor. I
Yeah.
became poor
Yeah.
being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. I had less money in the bank.
Hmm.
Then
It's crazy.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. So,
Yeah.
but I'm breaking it down, and then I'm talking to my partner, and he's telling me in 2 years we'll be able to pay everything
Hmm.
off, and then we'll be able to do this, and we'll be
Hmm.
able to expand. So we have to break ourselves down,
Yeah.
put into our companies,
Hmm.
and then within a certain amount of time, we can build
Build it up.
build it back up, or you
Hmm.
can see the building. So when you
Hmm.
see somebody who's, you know, the ladies you hang with, Stephanie and
Hmm.
and who else,
With Donatas. Uh-huh.
Danette, you
Hmm.
see those ladies, they have broken down
Uh-huh.
and
Oh
built up.
yeah.
So now you can see them at, conventions and
Hmm.
having to smile and everything, but they passed what we
Yeah.
did.
Right.
They've passed it.
Hmm. Yep.
And that's what you have to understand. So when you see an entrepreneur or you
Hmm.
see somebody weighted, it's not they're acting funny. It's not
Yeah. It's
they
just a
feeling
lot.
separate. It's just so much on that person's shoulder. Just say
Hmm.
hello.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is a lot to carry. It's a lot to carry. Like I was listening to something and they said being an entrepreneur is basically making something out of nothing.
Correct.
So we do that all the time. I think about it all the time. Like I would tell my kids, I eat what I kill.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not. I have to create my business. I have to
Great.
create my money.
Right.
And even when I make the money, I have responsibilities. So I don't just get that money. I'm putting that back into my
You're
business.
putting
Yeah.
it back into your business. So,
Hmm.
the luxuries or whatever. But it does make you enjoy stuff.
Hmm.
Because when I don't know, we talked about this.
Yeah.
When I paid my mortgage, I said, "Whoa, Lord, I got another month in my house." Literally,
Yeah.
we say stuff like that.
Yeah. Let me
Okay, I
enjoy
got
this
to
mortgage
let
this
me.
month. Yeah.
I got another month in
Hmm.
my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate the small things,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
makes you know how to do that budget. So
Hmm.
whereas I was like getting my nails done
Hmm.
every week, I was doing this, I was
Hmm.
doing that. You know what? I'm gonna always get my nails done every 2 weeks now
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It's enough time.
it's
That's you
enough
don't need
time.
it every
I
week.
don't need it. I don't
Yeah.
need to shop for everything.
Hmm.
I don't need to do this
Hmm.
because now I know
Yeah.
what's a necessity.
Right.
And then now you're past me. Now I got kids going to college.
Hmm.
And back in my mom's day, it was asking for $5. Now they saying, "Mom, can you give me 50? We going here." I say $50. Where you going? I'm just
Hmm.
going to the store. Oh, I need my hair done. Give me $200. I
Yeah.
was like, $200?
It's real.
What you putting
Hmm.
gold plates
Hmm.
on? I mean, how long they're gonna let? Don't
Right.
wash it. Don't sleep on it. Tie it
Right.
up
Right.
because
Yeah.
everything is so
Right.
expensive. People making jokes about eggs. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
my grocery bill is like $300. I'm
Right.
like, in a week, not a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you
Like,
got growing kids. Yeah.
yeah. So you learn how to budget.
Hmm.
You learn how to pull back.
Hmm.
You learn how to make ravings for the whole week,
Yes.
which
And
I
eat
did
them
this
and be
week,
happy
and
about it.
eat them and be happy about them. And so, you got these Instagram
Hmm.
videos and how it looks good or whatever. But
Yeah.
behind the scenes, girl, we are doing some serious pulling back in
Hmm.
order to make it.
Right. Right. And to make sure that we're good, make sure
To,
our families are good. Like we have children. I mean, my kids are grown, but I'm still like helping where I can. And I'm thinking, I want to, like my daughter, my oldest daughter had, she lost her funding for, like her,
yeah, you told me about
for
that.
her rent and everything. So it meant I had to step in. And I feel like that's a driver for me. I don't want my kids to, I don't want to have to ever say, no, I can't do a necessity.
A necessity,
Something
yes.
like, you want to
How?
go get a new phone or something. Okay, that's not
Yeah,
a,
but housing
yeah,
for your
housing
college
and
career is necessary.
is necessary, and expenses and things that you need. If you need a car, I want to be able to help you get that.
Correct.
And so that's a driver for me. So when she told me that, it got me to work. It made
Yeah.
me say, you know what, I
So
could
that's
take
the
on a little bit
days
more.
that when you want to lay in a bed and you're like
Mm,
overwhelmed, it's
hmm.
just you drove to do better.
Yeah.
And I was telling a friend, I was on the treadmill and I was talking to him and I said, "You know what? I'm looking at this every day like an elephant. How you eat it?
Hmm.
One bite at a
Yeah.
time." I said, "But because if I look at this whole elephant life that I built,
Yeah.
I am freaking out. Like,
Hmm.
how did I get these bills? How did I do this?
Right.
I'm over all these people's
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
I got these expensive homes, whether they're
Hmm.
100,000, 10,
Yeah.
$1 million. I
Hmm.
have this in my hand and they're expecting me to
Hmm.
make the right decision
Hmm.
with it. So how do I look at it? Every day I just write down what I can touch,
Hmm.
and then tomorrow I'll handle the next. I literally write down what I can do every day, every hour,
Hmm. Yeah.
scratch off what I did, and the
Uh-huh.
next day I bring it on to the
Start all
same
over
thing.
again.
But if I look at the whole list, it's
It's
frightening.
overwhelming. Hmm.
So we just have to eat that elephant one bite
One
at a
bite at a
time,
time. I
and we'll
got it.
get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about that. We got into like sort of kind of work life balance a little bit. Just like we were talking about how you look at the different roles you play
Hmm.
and you're like, I can't do it all. I can't give 100% to
I
them all.
cannot.
But how do you manage or how do you try to do a work life balance?
So what I do is I prioritize
Hmm.
what's important. Of
Yeah.
course, the kids are always going
Hmm.
to be
Top.
top
Hmm.
of the poll. It's
Hmm.
always the kids, and also I'm gonna say the people who works for me,
Okay. Hmm.
because I'm privileged that they are there,
Hmm.
and I make sure that they know I appreciate what they're doing,
Yeah.
even though I pay them.
Hmm.
But you still have to appreciate when they come in and they
Yeah.
give you 100,
Hmm.
because they could come in and give you 60.
Right.
They can give you 50 and still get
Hmm.
their salaries.
Right.
So I those two are always on the top of my list.
Yeah.
And then I do come third.
Mhm.
But I'm a strong third.
Yeah.
I'm a strong third.
Uh-huh.
But those two
Yeah.
are really top of a line. Family and making sure those who work for me
Are good.
are good. So if that means that if I'm having months where, this is a bad economy, they're talking about today that it may be in a recession. I thought we were in a recession, but they say it may be a recession. If I have to not pay bills, I'll pay my employees.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Yeah.
If I not have something that I want to do and make sure my kids have housing or the car or whatever, it may not be the car they want, but it's the car they need.
Right.
I just prioritize what is important.
Yeah.
I told you this weekend I had several events that I wanted to go to, but I had to get that third person, me, together. So I actually stayed home, and I haven't done that in months. I actually stayed home and I meditated and I wrote down how I want the next couple of months to look like. And I prayed over it, and I sat in the house and I was very quiet. I didn't get out of my night clothes. I didn't go to the gym, girl. I didn't.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't do my cardio. I went Saturday, but Sunday, I usually do an hour cardio. I didn't do anything. I just sat home. I cooked for my kids, and I went straight back to my room. Wow. And that is how you balance things. When okay, mentally, I need a break. Okay, this is the person I need to focus on. To this week, maybe my daughter. Next week, maybe my son. I need to prioritize everything, but not get overwhelmed, because I say to myself, everything is going to be just fine. Every day I say that to myself.
Yeah. I say something similar. Every day I say this is going to be the best day of my life.
Right.
And some days it is, some days but I speak it every morning.
Right.
And as you were talking about that, I was like, I really feel like being an entrepreneur is being a leader.
Yes.
And so you were mentioning all these different qualities of a leader, putting other people first. And we don't really think about it when we're doing it. Like, I'm putting my kids first. I'm putting my employees first, because I'm going to make sure everybody is good before I take care of me.
Right.
And you're being a servant leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you have to look at it. People, and I tell my daughter this, leaders actually come last. Just the parable of Jesus. You think of a leader and you think they're first, but actually they're last. They eat last.
Right.
They get money last. Everything about an entrepreneur is last. That's why entrepreneurs sometimes say, I think myself, because really when you're looking at it, you're always thinking other people by saying, hey, you know what? You're not feeling well today. I'm not feeling well. But my employee, he called and said he had a little thing going on and he's not feeling well. I didn't want to go into the office, but hey,
I have to.
Hey, go ahead and take care of yourself. Right. He called me right before I said something. But you know what? Instead of saying, well, I'm not feeling well, so you need to come in because you work for me. No, I say, you know what? Take care of yourself. Yeah. And I just got me a little Advil and just went on in. So you, as a leader, you always put yourself in the back burner.
Right. And it's a beautiful thing too. I think it says a lot about your heart. I think we come from we've been knowing each other before real estate since we were,
and we come back from very humble beginning. Our parents are very humble, and they see things a lot different from us, but we still have the core of them. And that's what we talk about. I'm the core of Barbara. You're the core of your mom. And how you feel about yourself and how you feel about being humble. And I think as Black women, especially, we need to realize being humble is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't take away from our beauty. It doesn't take away from our talent, but it does make your palate a little easier to talk to be around by just being a little humble. Humble is not a bad word.
It's not. And we were taught to be humble, and in my opinion, sometimes I think she taught me to be too humble.
Too humble, right?
know, but my mother, and I know your mom is the same way, always was telling me, don't think too much of yourself.
Don't think too. And I tell my daughter that all the time, and I feel like she's so beautiful, but I go, someone else is just as pretty as you.
Right. Don't
So
let it go to your
don't
head.
let it go to your head. So what we need to do is work on that personality. We need to work on that core. We need to work on that ambition because there's another fit 50-year-old. There's another beautiful woman like yourself. So
somebody coming up.
So what makes us stand out is never our appearance. Okay, that's what you see when you first. But when you leave, I would like to leave an impression where she's a cool person. She's a approachable person.
Right.
So, and that's another thing about an entrepreneur. When someone's like, okay, I own my own business. I'm this and I'm that. It's very hard to talk to somebody. But I want some people come to me, Kim, I want to learn about property management, other realtors. I say, girl, come and sit in my office. Come and see the chaos that I got going. Come and see them.
You want it?
Yeah, come in. And one of my accountants came out, and I was teaching a young lady, and she was like, are you teaching her how to do the business? And she was shocked. I said, it's enough room for all of us, baby.
Yeah.
I said, what's mine is mine. What's hers is going to be hers. I said, I can.
There's
and
no
you can give somebody the tools,
but they're not you.
But they're not me. And she
that's
can
where,
be her.
The not being too humble, because I think my mom tried to make us a little too humble, but knowing that, hey, it's okay. You have a gift, but I know I'm humble.
But
I know
what I'm working with. You can't take from me.
You can't.
So all I can do is be happy to pour into you.
Yeah. And I know who I am.
And I know who I am.
At the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna knock something off of myself.
No,
like
but
you're
but
bomb,
I can't have every account.
No,
I can't handle, and nor do I want to.
But I know
I have a gift, right? And then if she starts something or whatever, we've been good friends for a long time. You open your company, I open my company. There is no conflict between us.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I just gave you 3 listings. I just gave you 3 listings. Like, girl, help me out with this because I'm just. And we're literally different companies, and you would never know because you know your worth and I know my worth.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so we can
push
walk.
each other up.
We push each other off. We can walk in the same line and you'll never know. They're really in competing companies. Yes, our competing companies. We have numbers. Yeah. I do specialize in property management, but still I want sales.
You do sales too, yeah.
Yeah. But it's very important to be working well with others as an entrepreneur. That's what we need to talk about at a later time to expand. But it's very important to be able to work well with others and understand that everybody is not your competition in a certain way.
Yeah.
It's a competition no more than when I get on stage, the girls on my team, we may be the young ladies that were on my show, it was 3 of them on the same team. And they still got off the stage. They hugged each other. They talked to each other. Only one won.
Yeah.
But the other ones there followed. So the thing about it is, get critiqued. You critique me, Kim, you should do this. Did you do this? Did you do that? But if you was such a competitor, I wouldn't have learned. There's a lot of sales things you tell me I didn't even know.
And vice versa.
Like a lot of property
management. You're wrong. You're wrong for that.
Yeah, don't do that. You're gonna lose. Or this is how you handle it, but if we was like, okay, she didn't open her own company and we're a competition, we would never.
Yeah.
I literally manage other realtors' homes. I literally manage a slew of other realtors' homes because they don't feel like I'm competing with them. And they feel I'm working with them.
Right. And they know that you have that specialty. They don't. And it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And just like I was over the moon, like fed up with the sales that I had. It was very hard. And I'm like, I'm trying to do this and that. And you have a team of girls, they start showing it. You got them online and this and that. I mean, I'm trying to rent. I'm trying to do things. I couldn't do it. It's a difficult sale. But guess what? I teamed up with you and your partner, and
we were able to get it done.
We
all together.
We all able to get it done.
All together. Yeah.
So, and I'm happy for it because half of commission is better than no commission.
You're right. And then helping manage personalities too.
And helping manage personalities.
Yeah. So it works itself out.
Entrepreneurs, we got to be like almost like angel like.
I think so. I think we're a special bunch.
I think we're special.
I definitely
I
think
think
so.
you
Yeah.
cannot have self in entrepreneur. Even though entrepreneur means by yourself, you cannot have any selfishness in it, or you
No.
will not make it.
You'll lose.
You will
And
lose.
you talked about, I don't want to get too deep into it, but you talked about collaborating with other agents. That's something like I felt like I wanted to say something to somebody, and I've called you before, and you're like, "Don't say it. It's not worth it.
It's not
Just
worth
be
it.
quiet. Just let her." I remember one time I called you about something. You were like, "That's the only power she has. Just let her have it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're right." And sometimes that takes humbling yourself to not always say something
You don't
for the
have
bigger
to.
picture.
You don't have to answer, and that's another thing that again, you have to be so selfless
Mm-hmm.
when it's
Mm-hmm.
down to,
Yeah.
because I have days where people are angry.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, people don't have any money.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
calling me and they're screaming at me because I'm asking them to fix something in their house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not breaking it.
Right.
The tenant is not breaking it, but I literally get blamed.
Mm-hmm.
I literally get blamed because the toilet is not working,
Mm-hmm.
or it's $200
And they can't
for this.
afford it right
They
now.
can't afford it, and they're
Mhm.
screaming at me. And I just
Breathe.
I understand.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can do. Let me see how I can work something
Yeah.
out. Maybe I
Yeah.
can help you with the back cost. Maybe I can give you half
Mhm.
off, because you don't have to answer, because literally it's not my fault.
Mhm.
And you wasn't like that when you was getting the checks,
Mhm.
but you're upset because you're not getting them.
Yeah.
I didn't make this economy,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So again, I tell you all the time, don't answer to everyone.
Mhm.
And I'm learning that more and more. And sometimes I'm in a car and I'll be like writing down saying, I should have said
Like
I should have said this, and I should
Mhm.
have did that. I shouldn't have did nothing.
Yeah.
Because what does that solve? And what does that bring?
Mhm.
And
It's
then the
just an
next time,
ego.
it's just
It's
an
your ego.
egotistical thing.
Mhm.
And then the next time that person see me, they're bitten my saying, you know what, Kim, you cool people.
Mhm.
You didn't
Yeah.
even worry about that. I say, girl,
Mhm. Yeah.
water off a duck's back. I can't. And it wasn't water off
Yeah.
a duck's back, because I'm in the car like, boy, I want
Ooh. I
to.
could get her.
I can let her have it.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about me.
No. And it's like
It's
right
gonna
here.
be about me.
Yeah.
In a couple of years,
Yeah.
it's gonna be about me.
Yeah, but you don't have that to do.
But
You
I
don't
don't
have to
have
answer
that.
that.
I don't have to answer that. I'm cool, and I have nothing. And it's room for all of us,
Mhm.
for all of us to get a piece of this
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah.
We all can't have everything.
Mhm.
And my journey is different from yours.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my goal in life is different.
Different. Yeah.
And what I want to see for myself is different. So why we can't run this race together?
Yeah. It's just something you talked about where you talking about the economy, and then I know you talked about how like you picked yourself up. How do you think, like, and especially as our business as entrepreneurs, how do you think like being financially responsible? And we talk a lot about this as well. Like, how do you think that plays into being successful as an entrepreneur?
Well, that is a huge part, because especially in business, because there are times when you're going to take a loss,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have that money in there to take a
Mm-hmm.
loss.
Mm-hmm.
So entrepreneurs, you do have a lot of money coming through that account.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
say like we're closing deals and our company is doing really well. We're in the black, not the red.
Mm-hmm.
And personally,
Yeah.
I'm writing down, I'm gonna pay my mortgage this week, my light bill this week, but I'm looking at thousands of dollars in that business account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I have to call Scott and say, look, I'm a little too tight this month. I don't want to be tight, because I got a lot of money here and I'm struggling here. This doesn't make sense, but it does.
Yeah.
Financially, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we lose accounts because of the economy, people decide to manage their own property, I still have enough
to fall back on.
Yeah. But if I spend it on stuff that I don't need, trips and clothes and hair and makeup and going drinks,
all the stuff. Yeah.
All that stuff that we don't need, new furniture, new bedding, all that stuff you don't need, and you pulling it from the business. And then when the business is falling, you're like, oh, I got to make a loan. I got to do this and I have to do that. Financially, if you stay stable and pay yourself and keep your company funds at a high, it also cures the stress that you may have later.
Yeah.
Because I just lost a big account from a guy who is still a really good friend. He gives me work,
Yeah.
but he
He
had
just can't.
35 units, and he says, Kim, it's time for me to do it on my own.
Yeah, because the economy, he just can't
Because the
afford it.
economy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he still allowed me to rent out his units, and I was a little nervous at first, and I kept calling my accountant. Okay, how much is the management fees coming in? And I'm constantly asking, and she's like, Kim, we're doing fine, but we also have backup money because I didn't take for a trip. I didn't go to Europe. I didn't.
Yeah, you just cut back.
I just cut back. I pay myself a salary, and then if we make, I don't care what we make, I make that salary, and that money goes into a business.
Yeah.
But also, that's why it's very important to find the right partner who's okay with living that life too. Because I'm not just sacrificing; he's sacrificing, looking at the same money. Because we can say, well, let's split this money. We know we got accounts that's going to come in, but you have to find someone that is just as stable as you to say, you know what? My personal life is my personal life.
Yeah.
This is what we decide to pay each other. And the business life is the business life. So when I look at my employees, I don't have to walk and say, I don't have enough money to pay you this month.
Yeah.
So financial stability is very important. Do
being
not
disciplined.
spend that money. Do not spend it. I don't care
disciplined.
how good it looks and how well it's going. About a year ago, it was going really well.
Yeah, for all of us. And then it's like we all had to pull back last year.
And we had to pull back. And then I got that in January, one of my bigger accounts went bam. But what if I didn't pull? What if I didn't keep that thing? You know, it wouldn't have been a phone call. It would have been not a phone call. It wouldn't have been a phone call discussion. It would have been a phone call to get another loan, which I'm trying to pay off.
Right.
So I can be financially stable. So everything in entrepreneurship is about the future, not about the present.
Yeah. In the Bible, I tell my daughters this all the time. The Bible talks about how the ant stores up. Like, you know, you're going to have good days and you got to know that rough day is coming, but you got to store up for that rough day.
So as an entrepreneur, do not spend money when it's good. Keep on the same page.
Yeah.
Eventually you can, but please, I would say the first 5 years,
just stack up.
Just stack. Because I mean, this economy, that's 40 units.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
you
I
just
lost.
Don't know. And things are so up and down. So.
And I don't know. I'm gonna try to get 100 more of this, but that was a big drop.
Yeah.
You know, so and like I said, I'm gonna get it back. But like I said, that it has not been easy. The story is amazing, and I'm not gonna take away from that. The story is amazing. Everything I've been through is amazing, but by no way I'm telling you that it's been a walk in the park. And I'm walking around with my heels and my purse. I walk around my Sheen shoes and my Sheen purse because really,
that's
I understand where I am.
Right. And that's all you need. We don't need all this extra stuff.
And when I can afford it, my Louis Vuitton,
I'm
going to get it.
You're going to get
but
it.
Not right now.
I'm going to settle for Sheen.
We always refer to the Bible because that's what we grew up as. There's a time and place for everything. Yeah. And right now, my time and place is Sheen.
And it's not the brand. It's who's wearing it. And
how
you put it
people
together.
may differ, so we're not gonna say that. Somebody may say, "I'm not wearing those Sheen shoes. They hurt my feet." But I'm just saying,
I'm not mad at them.
But I'm saying, right now, a time and place is for me to be conscious of what I'm going through, because I know right now I have not made it.
Not yet. You've made it. But you're just making sure you're good.
Right.
You're just
making sure
that storing up. Right. Storing up. So, all right, girl. So, who's your favorite rapper?
Oh, well, it's a little raunchy.
Okay.
I love Kevin Gates. I'm sorry. I love Kevin Gates. Yes, he is, I'm New Orleans style. I like bounce music. Okay. I am a fun person. So I love to dance. So, yeah. I love Kevin Gates. Sexy Red.
Okay, all right.
I am, so yeah, when you get in my car, don't expect, it's gonna be opera music or classical. Yeah, you're
gonna get it.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, my children, turn up, Mama, you're about to be in front of school. You're about to be in front of school. Roll up the windows, turn the music down, because we gotta have a little life, a little fun. So
yeah, we do.
So yeah.
So I'm gonna say this, like I love your mom, right?
Oh, you
Your mom
absolutely.
is like my role model. So what give me like two of the funniest things your mama says. Little funny stuff.
I don't know. She says some crazy stuff to me all the time. She go, "Oh yeah, keep living." Every time I tell her, "Oh mom, we not doing." Oh girl, whatever. Nobody worried about that. Like if I'm like upset about something, which you say you laugh because you're like she dismisses everything.
Yeah.
I had a girl. This is not funny, but it's so funny. I had a scare with the breast exam. Did I
Yeah.
tell you about
Uh-huh.
that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you build a lot of muscle, you can't have a regular mammogram. You
Okay.
actually got to do a 3D because you got so much muscle
Mm-hmm.
on top.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
They have
get
to
a
go in a little
3D.
deeper.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it's called dense tissue. So they
Mm-hmm.
really don't see anything
Mm-hmm.
because your muscle and my muscle is all the way up here.
Yeah.
I fake breasts. So
Yeah. They're like, we gotta get a little deeper.
yeah, we got to get a
Yeah.
little deeper. And so they, instead of telling me that, they gave me a note through the system saying I have to come back and I
Mm-hmm.
have to get something done. So I'm calling my mom, I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, I got cancer, whatever. She's like, be quiet, be quiet. What did the people say? And I said, they say I have to come back. I said, I got it. I know I have it. She said, so what? You just gonna have a little rough life. It's not gonna be that bad. And I'm like, or she,
Mama.
mama.
Yeah.
She
Oh
said,
my.
I'm telling you, you on a long, long, long time. You just need to
Mm-hmm.
chill out. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I should be dealing with that these people are calling me back or that she's
Oh, the
dismissing.
fact that my mama said, so what? So what? Okay.
So she's the strongest
Yeah.
and the most beautiful and the most powerful person you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you love about her
Mm-hmm.
is that
Yeah.
she's fearless.
Yep.
And even
Nothing
when
stops her.
82
Nothing.
years old, baby, and
And
nothing's
beat cancer, everything.
cancer, everything. So that is one of the biggest things that also helped me
Yeah.
along because
Mm-hmm.
she goes, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
How are we gonna deal with it? Well, what you wanna do? Well, what you wanna say? And then that makes me, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It hurts my feelings sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I've told
But
you
you're
that.
like, she's right.
She's
Okay,
right.
what now?
What
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Because you're sitting on the side of the road, you're crying. What you want me to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be just fine. You're healthy. Okay, you got a little disease. Come on,
Let's work through it.
let's work through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
So
that's why she's 82 and she just, nothing stops her.
nothing stops her.
Nothing.
Nothing stops her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the funny things she's done to me. I
I
don't know
love
if it's
hearing
too
her
funny.
stories. I love it.
I know, and I
Mm-hmm.
called you, and you was like, "What?"
Yeah.
You was like, "Hold on, what she said?" She was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, girl, come on with all
Keep
that.
it moving.
Keep
Come on. You
it."
know, what is wrong with you?
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So yeah, having a powerful force it does help
Mm.
too.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I have to step back
You're
because
like,
it's too.
Mama, what?
Yeah, sometimes I have to give it a couple of days because it's
Mm.
too powerful.
Mm.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
it did help
It
me.
sinks in
It
later.
sinks in.
Yeah. So what's your favorite New Orleans food?
Oh, I don't really have favorite foods. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Popeyes.
Ooh, that's what I want to know. Your favorite cheat meal when you have a cheat day. Is it
It's
Popeyes?
either Five Guys or Popeyes.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
not the fancy. I love Vian's. That's our
Yeah.
favorite
Right.
place
Right. Right.
together.
Mm-hmm.
I love Vian. I love the
Mm-hmm.
French food. But I'm not that girl. I'm not that fancy girl. I
Mm-hmm.
actually, everybody see me dressed up, but I actually hate dressing up.
Yeah.
I like to,
You just be cool.
I just like to put on my sweats
Uh-huh.
and go get some chicken and watch
Yeah.
TV or read a book or dance in the car with my kids. Like
Mhm.
that's my favorite thing to dance
Okay.
and to laugh
Okay.
and joke and to
Okay.
rib my kids. I don't think they say ribbon anymore. What do they say?
They say, is it? I'm about to show my age. Okay. All right,
Because
roasting.
I say ribbon, I like to
Okay.
tease them
Yeah, that's our era.
or act like dance. And my son is going, don't do that in public, or
All
do
right.
TikToks.
Don't do that. Don't embarrass me.
Don't embarrass
Don't
me.
embarrass me. So one last question. So I am trying to learn the line dances, right?
Oh
Do you
God,
know the boots on the ground?
no, I
Okay,
don't
we're
know.
gonna learn it. We're gonna learn it.
No, no,
All
no,
the
no,
new line dances, we gotta
no, no,
learn
no,
them.
no, no. No. Me don't do line dances.
Oh, I've been
I'm
practicing.
the one to get in the middle and start doing freestyle dances. I'm not conforming. I conform every day. I'm not conforming to
You're not doing it. You're gonna do
that
your
familiar
own
thing.
You're gonna do your own thing. I have to learn. I'm like, I have to learn 2 new line dances. Tamia is one of them. I'm like,
Girl.
I'm tired of being at the family functions and I'm standing on the
I was
sidewalk.
already telling you I want to go to a party because sweetheart is gonna be out of town around that time, and I'm gonna be now. It's in April, so you learn your
That
line
gives me
dance.
time.
That gives you time. You learn your line dance.
You're gonna be in the middle.
I'm gonna be in the
Doing
middle.
Kim.
Doing New Orleans
And look,
spot.
I'm gonna be doing all my little twists and turns. Just wait.
I'm gonna be doing get it.
All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to At Home with Melissa, our second episode. This was like us just chatting on the phone or hanging out over coffee.
We just was on the phone an hour. We should have recorded that at that time.
Yeah, well, maybe not all of it.
Not all of it. Not all of it.
But be sure to tune into our next episode. Make sure you subscribe below, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.